Fast forward, you need come our channel. You social as one say Hasi AGH Politics Avenue. Political stories are training because make headlines. Najimbre need to be Aksumo. Need him young Praximu. Best say among writing Simo. Near Queen Sima a year OXP. Ni half year reports are what the Babon Tinsona Abuja 4 Timmy Attraxia or more a moon pinsim with regards to investigating 67 major corruption and corruption related offenses are Bawumia Yajimra EDB Exomo Ewa say. Mr. Simon Remna in tea in Senumi, Midas Wajimra Ewa.
Which touches and concerns corruption, they can reopen the case.
So this does not mean that.
No. If as we continue, corruption, I mean, it's finally revealed after diligent search and investigation that she was involved in corruption. They can reopen the case. The case is not closed. That's what they are saying. But presently, they don't see corruption. Okay, immediately they don't see corruption. But that doesn't mean that there is no corruption.
See, would Dr. Zato be right to say that at that time?
This is not a clearance.
She's being.
See, first of all, let's go back. Let's roll back so that our viewers will understand. Office of the Special Prosecutor, as the name suggests, has special jurisdiction. He has no general jurisdiction. He has special jurisdiction. His jurisdiction is to investigate corruption-related offenses, and breaches of the Procurement Act. So when you see the establishment of an office of the Special Prosecutor, that doesn't give the Special Prosecutor general jurisdiction, no. Now, so if the Special Prosecutor is investigating a case and comes to the conclusion that the case doesn't reveal corruption-related offense, or breaches of the Procurement Act, the Special Prosecutor will have to release the docket to a body, a state body that has the requisite jurisdiction to investigate that matter. That doesn't mean that the case is closed. And Martin is perfectly right, and that is the law. The FATF rules change the old law. That look, if you're going to fight corruption, you can't make the determination of a predicate offense sine qua non for the prosecution of money laundering. Because the offense might be committed in another jurisdiction. Or the accused person might successfully destroy the predicate offense. But our Constitution 286 and even Section 3 of the Section 1.3 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act clearly establishes that if you are unable to prove, so shifts the burden of proof from the accused person, from the state to you. You must prove the source. Okay? So that is the universally accepted way of fighting corruption. That if you have assets that you cannot properly, that cannot be reasonably attributable to your salary, your gift, an inheritance, and what those listed there, then the state will be deemed to have acquired in contravention of the Constitution. Okay?
Yes.
So, but Zato, corruption didn't have dual location in under Akuffo, dual geographical location. It had a multi-locational burden in this country. And let me give you an example. We were here when they told us that the gate fees, some people were charging gate fees. And who said it? Kennedy Japan. Gate fees to see the president. There was corruption. We were here when they sold contaminated fuel. You remember Boss? Montelenos. That matter, finally, when it was investigated, so it came out that this was inappropriate. The PDS, up to now, we have not been able to recover the money. That's corruption. The cash for seats. What is that? What do you term that? Is that not corruption? The Australian visa scandal. Is that not corruption? Charles Bisio and Galam Stop. Is Is that not corruption?
What this matter sign? This matter
yes,
is in court.
but so corruption cannot be said to have been
I'm only telling you that
dual location at the Nana Akufo. I can give you many SML.
No, let's focus on the half-year report.
Ameri.
Let's focus on the half-year report.
Okay, so the half-year report clearly is in satisfaction of Section 3.3 of the Special Prosecutors Act. When we were passing the act, and I was a key member of the Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs, we said that because that was a novelty, we needed to hold the office accountable. Because we're going to spend a lot of money. We've already spent a lot of money in trying to research. We went to South Africa, we went to Canada, we went to Malaysia, in trying to understand Singapore, not Malaysia, Singapore, in trying to understand how the office should operate. And there's public resources. So the the Office of the Special Prosecutor must periodically, every 6 months, come to tell us what the office is doing to justify the expenditure. Okay? So it's in fulfillment of Section 3.3 of the Act. And by the end of the year, he will come. Because there have been institutions of state. They have taken monies, spent the monies, are failing to account, and even when they are called before the Public Accounts Committee, they still fail to account. So, again, transparency. So we want to know, since the past case, you started it, where is it? That is why it is contained in the report. Where is it? So he has to give the people of Ghana that report. The SMA, why do you issue a red notice for Nana Ken Oforiatta? You should tell Ghanaians. And what is the status now? You tell Ghanaians. And what reasons, what motivated you to issue that? That's all what the mid-year report does. Educate us, bring us to speed with what is happening to justify the resources, the public resources that have been expended on the office.
Well, Dr. Dasso says he has to be answering questions, because if you put something in the report and then you later issue a statement to clarify, then it raises questions.
No, it doesn't raise any question. So
about what exactly is in there.
So it doesn't raise question. It's clear. But obviously, people have subjected that to various interpretations. The Special Prosecutor wants one interpretation, because it issued the report. But people are subjecting the report to various interpretations. The Special Prosecutor said, no. That interpretation is not what should be put on it. So we need to clarify what is contained in there. Okay? Because you see, nobody is a Humpty Dumpty. And the Special Prosecutor is not a Humpty Dumpty. He's not saying what he's trying to get everybody to understand that this is the status of the case. He has not said that the woman has been exonerated. And we have heard a lot of commentary on exoneration.
So there's no direct and immediate evidence of corruption was identified during the investigation of Cecilia by the FBI and the OSP. That's not...
It's not exoneration. Okay. It means that for the time being, at the time that he was issuing the mid-year report, in accordance with his mandate and that at 959, he has not seen, the office did not see corruption or a corruption-related offense committed in the past or immediately. But that doesn't mean that that's a closure. It means that if subsequently, after after diligent investigations, it's established that she was engaged in corruption and corruption-related offense, she will be prosecuted by the Special Prosecutor. And Martin is right. The common law position is that time does not run against the states. That's the position we still have in Ghana. But in some jurisdictions, they have put time on the commission of an offense. But the general principle in law is that time does not run against the commission of an offense. So at any time that it is realized upon diligent search that the power engaged in corruption or a corruption-related offense or a breach of the Procurement Act, should be subject to the jurisdiction of the Special Prosecutor.
So in this case, the OSP, if Matubebo, what you said is anything to go by, the OSP has finished its job of investigating corruption and corruption-related offences, and they say they found nothing.
Yes.
First of all, you must understand that in criminal offences, jurisdiction is so important that you need to establish that before you go into the matter. If not, if you lack jurisdiction and you go into the matter, there will be a firm ground for your decision to be thrown away.
Yes, so they say for now.
For now.
Remember, even those who are fixated of the predicate offense. You remember when the OSP issued the report, the one where they said the cosmetic businesses, etc., don't belong to her. They also mentioned tax evasion. And tax evasion is in the realm of lawyer Siama. That's their jurisdiction. So those who are looking for this predicate, as we said, it's no longer law. But the OSP report, we can pull it out. You know, it was published. We all read it. Yeah, they mentioned tax evasion.
So I don't want us to limit this discussion to Sister Adapa, because a lot of cases are under investigation. The general import of the mid-year review was to bring Ghanaians to speed on what the special prosecutor is doing, not on the case of Sister Adapa.
But that clarity was key as well, so as to bring some level of finality to the conversation of whether or not the OSP has cleared Sister Adapa of any wrongdoing.
There's no clearance. No one can read clearance into that.
Okay, if you look at the clarification, the statement to clarify that position that the OSP made, because you've been referencing Leo for a while, I'll come to him. Because the OSP itself, in their statement to clarify that portion of their report, said they further emphasized that the case was referred to the Economic and Organized Crime Office under the previous leadership of IOCO, because investigations uncovered strong indications of
money laundering,
suspected money laundering, and structuring, which fall within IOCO's direct mandate. The previous leadership of IOCO did not act on it, and they returned the docket to the OSP upon advice by the Attorney General, which you see. I want to come to Leo on this, no, but quickly make it.
So you see what Martin was saying. Then you see that it was premeditated. Now, so IOCO, Office of the Special Prosecutor has limited jurisdiction, special jurisdiction if you want, cannot investigate money laundering. So it says that, look, I have seen strong indication of money laundering and structuring, and the proper institution to handle this matter is IOCO. Then Attorney General writes to IOCO to truncate the investigative process and says, return the docket to Office of the Special Prosecutor. And Office of the Special Prosecutor had earlier said that it didn't have the mandate, the authority, the jurisdiction. So what the Attorney General did was to deal a fatal blow.
Yeah, let me put this fact. Let's add this fact, very serious, one fact. Actually, in the opinion, he said, Godfrey Dami said they had earlier on asked the CID to investigate the sources of the money. Can you imagine? They said CID, that's the police. Something that belongs to IOCO. How can you say you've given the mandate to CID to investigate this till date? Nothing on it. When he was leaving, where is Godfrey Dami's handing over notes? Maybe we can check with Dr. Ayene what he said. Where is the CID report
on this? But Leo, I'll certainly come to you because I know you have quite something small to add on to. But Leo, because this new leadership of
MPP parliamentary aspirant,
because Leo
of NDC,
because Leo is now with the new leadership of IOCO, and they have requested for this docket and some interest in there. Leo, the previous leadership thought otherwise. What is this new leadership, which you are head of legal and prosecution at IOCO, seeing in this Sister Adapa case, which you think is worth looking into?
Okay, so first of all, let me offer some clarity to some of the positions that have been taken in this matter. And I don't want to place too much emphasis on the Sister Adapa case because it cuts across all other cases. First of all, before Act 1044, the position of the law was that without a predicate offense, you could not prosecute money laundering. But even with that, I believe there was a misconception. Now, you have to separate prosecution from investigation. The fact that you cannot prosecute a case without a predicate offense may not necessarily mean that you cannot investigate. I think that's where the problem has been coming from. Now, since then, steps have been taken for us to request for the docket and conduct our investigations. Now, in my experience with money laundering cases, you don't see the predicate offense first. It's usually the money laundering you see. You can only establish or find out about the predicate offense upon investigating the money laundering in terms of the trail.
Right.
So, for instance, again, because I don't have a better example here, the sighting of the money in Cecilia Dapa's house is or may be termed the evidence or the money laundering. Now, we need to now follow the money, look at all financial history, trace the source, look at issues of tax evasion to establish the predicate offense.
Right.
So investigations must be differentiated from prosecution. That's where we are standing. So our new leadership, based on this position, wrote to the OSP for the docket to be brought back to Yoko for us to investigate.
So what you're looking at now is you are following the money, essentially.
Yes, we are following the money.
And the argument that there need not necessarily be a predicate offense before you investigate a matter you suspect to be money laundering.
No, you don't need to see the predicate offense first. And 1044 is now clear on that. I think the problem was that in the previous act, that position was not clear. And in line with our international obligations as well, that was one of the main reasons why 1044 was enacted, to address some of the shortfalls that the previous act had. So on that breadth alone, it is now imperative for us to disregard or move from that position where we were concentrating only on the predicate offense as a means for the prosecution and by extension the investigation. And some of us even had this opinion before that time. So the position now is that after 1044, even without a predicate offense, even with 1044, even without a predicate offense, you should be able to prosecute a person on money laundering, because then you are going to look at offenses on the path of irregular lifestyle, or what we call the lifestyle audit investigations.
Right.
So this alone, without getting a predicate offense, is enough for you to go under Section 1(3), subsection 3 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act 1044.
So you can start the investigation without necessarily establishing a predicate offense?
Yes, definitely.
But can you start prosecution without establishing a predicate offense?
Yes, with 1044 now, that's the position of the law.
Explain this part of it to me, and we'll put that on the screen. What you see there, where a person under investigation for money laundering is in possession or control of property which the person cannot account for and which is disproportionate to the income of that person from known sources. That is where the lifestyle audit you talk about can establish this. That person shall be deemed to have committed an offense under subsection 2. But you've had some lawyers also reference the fact that at this point, Cecilia Dapa is not under investigation for money laundering as yet. So what is Yoko's interest? What are you looking for exactly?
Well, once the docket has been referred to us, that's the commencement of the investigation. You don't, in investigations, the assumption is always created that until the person is brought before the investigating body, then investigations have not begun. That's not necessarily the case. We may want to conduct background investigations and to know what we are dealing with before we bring you in. So investigations are currently ongoing. So that would satisfy the bit about the money laundering, a person being under investigation for money laundering. So that is the trigger. Now, when investigations commence on that angle, triggering the money laundering investigations, then any property that we find or assets that we find that is in your possession or under your control is subject to the investigations or the extended investigations. Now, we also do, that's where we come in and do the lifestyle audit. If we conduct a lifestyle audit investigations and your income and or all your other known sources of income are not proportionate or are not capable of allowing you to own these assets, then it becomes a subject of confiscation or forfeiture to the state.
I see. And so you're also going to conduct some form of a
yes,
lifestyle audit?
Very well, most definitely. We will do that. because we would have to do source investigations in terms of where the money came from, look at the possibility of tax evasion. There are several angles that we can, and because this is an active investigation, I will not go into details and say them here. Yeah.
I'm very mindful of the limitations of what you can put out, and I respect that. That's fair. It's a fair point to make. But also, how would you respond to those who raise concerns about one institution which is supposed to have a standard operating procedure, a manual that guides your work as to what you should pay attention to or what you should take interest in and what you think will be a waste of time? Under one leadership, an opinion is that, look, this is not worth getting into. It's a waste of our time if we get into any investigation of money laundering or Siliadapa. Then a new leadership comes in and your disposition, your orientation to this case is different. Would you agree with those who say it raises some concern about the EOCO as an institution itself, or your discretion on which case to look at is based on a particular leader's position of what is worth looking into?
Well, not necessarily. Again, we have differences in opinion, differences in interpretation when it comes to legal documents and text, especially. And what I would point out to is that crime is not mandate specific. When a person commits a crime, he or she doesn't decide to go within the realm of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Even, for instance, if the OSP is investigating cases of corruption, they may find issues of forgery, falsification of documents, and all those other aspects. Even with Yoko, when we are running our investigations, there are times that we need or we rely on the expertise of other institutions or other sister agencies for the purposes of progressing our investigations. We call on the Narcotics Control Commission, the OSP themselves. We call on the GRE when it comes to tax issues because they have the mandate for tax assessment. So I think that the issue here has to rather be a promotion of effective collaboration. Perfect. Because at the end of the day, the resources that we have at our disposal as institutions and law enforcement agencies is quite little. So if we promote the collaboration, then it makes our work a lot easier instead of trying to do it alone or focusing on the issues or trying to make it about a mandate. And again, the law does not prohibit or restrict law enforcement agencies from collaborating and conducting joint operations or joint investigations to serve or ultimately attain a common purpose, which is to, for the Yoko mandate, recover the proceeds of crime or facilitate the recovery of the proceeds of crime.
I see, and talk about collaboration, because that was an issue. On this particular case, there was that tough war of who is to do what, who has the mandate to do what. At some point, we had the Yoko, OSP, all coming at each other, the Attorney General. It became quite messy at some point on this same Cecilia Adapa issue. How's the collaboration like now?
Well, the collaboration has always been there. I will not sit here and make it look like they have not been there for us. And again, based on the mandate of each institution, we seem to push a certain position because we feel that our interpretation may be right or wrong. But then again, we all need to sit down. At the end of the day, we are trying to work for Ghana and recover things that or assets that may have been lost in the course of service to the country. So it's almost very difficult if we take entrenched positions as law enforcement agencies. What we must do is, as a matter of importance is to come together and reduce some of these turf wars or conflicts in terms of positions that we take when we try to make certain sense of our mandate. If we are able to do that, I think it takes a lot of these issues away, and then the public.
We and some other team course or channel so I'm not so Jim Braid as an so bad in the Adumiania, Young room in Sansomo, Quanson Cosocra, Politics Avenue.